Now, Sudan and South Sudan have managed to agree to settle their differences over sharing oil revenues. Now, this deal follows pressure from the US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and the former South African President Thabo Mbeki, who was acting as an African Union negotiator. Well, rows over charges for transporting and processing oil have brought the two nations close to war.
South Sudan had shut off all oil shipments to Sudan back in January. There were accusations of theft at that time. South Sudan gained independence from Sudan just over a year ago now, and most of the country's oil wells are right down there in the south. But the south has the wells, but Sudan's got the refinery and the port that's needed to process and export the oil. This deal was brokered by the African Union.
The visit lasted only 3 hours, but Hillary Clinton's message has apparently been heeded by Sudan and South Sudan's leaders. The American Secretary of State urging the two countries to resolve the oil dispute that brought them to the verge of war.
An interim agreement with Sudan over oil production and transport can help address the short-term needs of the people of South Sudan, while giving you the resources and the time to explore longer-term options.
Only hours later, a deal was reached after months of deadlock. African Union mediator Thabo Mbeki saying on Saturday that all outstanding issues around splitting oil profits had been resolved. Sudan and South Sudan will now seek to draw up a timetable for resuming exports. The UN Security Council had given the countries until Thursday to find a solution. When South Sudan became independent last year, it claimed about 3/4 of Sudan's oil fields, but the pipelines flow through the north, giving Khartoum control of exports. Despite depending on oil earnings for 98% of its revenue, South Sudan shut down crude production last January after failing to agree on transit fees with its northern neighbour. That brought the two countries to the brink of all-out war in April as border fighting escalated.
Now, the price of this transportation is one of the principal matters for negotiation, and the reason for the shutdown earlier this year. The government of Juba believes it's made concessions at the negotiating table, offering to pay more for using the pipelines and to accept international rulings on the shared border. Oil sales accounted for almost all of South Sudan's revenue, and without it, the country is experiencing a foreign currency crisis. The shortage of US dollars has led to skyrocketing food and fuel prices, leaving ordinary people struggling to make ends meet. Now, with this deal, it's hoped that the problems South Sudan and Sudan face may well be beginning to be addressed, and be addressed on both sides.